Here you are. It's great to have you.
Does everybody know the only reason I'm here is because Brad, when I did this little event for my company, not as extensive as this, the first person that said yes was Brad for me, so I would do this for you anytime. So
Thank you very much.
And isn't it amazing?
You ruined my big opening.
Oh,
now,
I fucked you up. Sorry.
I'll recover. Yeah. Where to start? So let's start with the beginning, because when you started in your business, you were working in the mailroom. You got kicked out of your apartment. You lost an eviction lawsuit, and you were driven. And there was failure, and there was adversity, and you were driven. And today, you're the only celebrity agent I know, because I don't think there are many other agents who are celebrities.
I don't know if that's a compliment,
Well,
but I'll take it as one.
Talk about the drive. Talk about what keeps you going today that might or might not relate to the drive you had way back then.
So I guess, people have asked this about my brothers and myself, what kind of motivates us. And I have no idea, and we've said this before, I have no idea what my mother or my father put in the water or the milk or whatever. But I think we're all very curious. I think, at least for me, failure would not be doing something and failing. Failure would be not doing it. And for sure, my brothers were not dyslexic. I was dyslexic, and my mother, education was important. Not that I wasn't as smart as them, but back then, if you were dyslexic, you were in special ed. And I never thought I was, for whatever reason, how I was, back then, how they put you in special ed, and there was a stigma around it. And I just wanted to kind of prove myself because of my brothers and just maybe sibling rivalry.
But what were you hearing? What was the reaction of your brothers or your parents at the time?
Well, it's funny. I have 3 boys now, and I have a daughter also, but all 3 boys are all dyslexic, and they go to this thing called Linda Mood Bell, which is a great program. Back then, my mother, out of her own kind of sheer will that I was not going to go to college, and they didn't think I was going to graduate high school, created my own version of Linda Mood Bell. I hated it. I cried every day having to do it, but I did it. And because of that, you'll put up with a lot of pain, emotional pain. And I think one of the things that, for whatever reason, if you can I'm trying to teach this to my kids, if you can put up with that emotional pain and then actually have your own instincts about things, you can get through a lot of problems. And half the things about being successful is being able to put up with emotional pain, being curious, and keep on going.
Is the emotional pain put on yourself?
Yeah.
It's basically not living up to...
You're a fucking idiot.
It's not living up to fill in the blank.
Yeah.
What are you not living up to that creates the pain?
Well, in my house, when I was growing up, it was you were only intelligent if you were quote unquote good in school. And I was good in school, but just not to Zeke or to Rahm. And
let's not pump up Rahm's ego.
So, that is a motivator, especially if you're a kid.
About not being...
Yeah, and then, you have, then you go to a shrink for a lot of years and you get through all that. But that drive to kind of prove that you are good or competent or smart or whatever kind of motivates you. And then the good thing is I fell into something that I love, and then all bets are off.
If you would have gone to law school or medical school, do you think the ending is still the same, that you're one of the best? Is it just because you're so competitive and you're so convinced of your ability to prove it yourself, whatever the doubt?
I think actually the benefit, which I couldn't see back then, the benefit of dyslexia that I can see now is, one is it enables me to take a bunch of people's best ideas, find good people to help you, because I know I can't do it all by myself. And for whatever reason, I have no idea what this quality is, to be able to look at a situation and see it differently than some other people. Now, I have no idea how that happens.
Because you have more what do you have more of that makes you better in those situations? Is it more that you can see the simplicity? Is it that you understand the patterns better? Is it that you will make one more phone call? Is it tenacity?
I think it's a lot of those things, but it's I don't know, you have to have a very high EQ. I think people also with dyslexia also have a very high IQ, but it presents in a different way. And that EQ in a situation, be able to see something and then put connections together that other people don't see, just for whatever reason, at least from my perspective. I don't know about other people that are dyslexic, but I did a panel at Yale on dyslexia, and you could see that those people in their specific areas found different connections that kind of made them successful and organized people around them to enable their success.
But an outsider, well, speak for myself. I look at your unique success in a super competitive field, and I come back to the relentlessness in a good way, to the fact that you will make 300 calls in a day. And you must get tired at some point of the day and go to bed. But let's come there in a second. What's driving you all day long?
Well, I think the only thing that's driving me every day is I actually, and as I was driving here from the airport, I took a red eye to New York, gave a speech at a client's event at Anheuser-Busch, and then I came here. I actually love what I do. I mean, I love it and then I had
money or no, you
yeah,
love it
I love it
for what it is.
And I had a meeting right afterwards on the UFC, and then we were dealing with a situation in China, and then I had to figure out if this movie was going to be in AFI, and there's nothing about my job and all that isn't for me exhilarating.
Joy.
So all the rest of it, it's just hard work. Who cares?
Is it ever so much joy that you're like, I cannot believe that I am in this place and this is that
Yeah.
I'm the
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. So
and
I'm happy, and I'm not tired of it, and I only think there's more to do.
So, and you've transcended agent and now are running an enormously large business, massively impactful business that creates and owns content. You're not just connecting dots now, you're creating coloring books. How have you translated your ability to do into an ability to manage?
Yeah, but I'll say the following. I still represent clients every day. I'm in the grind of making sure that their careers, whether it be Oprah, Mark Wahlberg, Pete Berg, Aaron Sorkin, Seth MacFarlane. I mean, I do it. Tyler, I do it every day.
So, but no bullshit. You are as good as it gets at what you do as an agent, and you are adding to that, which is not easy, especially in a competitive environment like you're in. You're adding to that, building and managing. And I'm wondering what that feels like. What skills is it calling on that might not have been there before?
As my father said when he was teaching kids at Northwestern, you just have to use some common sense. And you have to treat people, I always say, you just want to treat people the way you want to be treated. And if you do that, and it's tough, you will actually be successful. The hardest thing is, as it's grown and I'm out of a lot of it, you got to trust other people. I always say to people, perfection does not lead to progress. I don't need perfection because there's no definition of it, and it's a lie. I just want
action.
I want to move the ball down, and guess what? We will make mistakes, accept that there is going to be mistakes. For whatever reason, I think that is hard for people that if you don't do that, you'll never be able to sit on the top of the ladder. Because if you think it's going to be perfect or you can't move forward, you're fucked.
I'm not sure people trust that. And that's the issue,
Yeah.
is that when you say that, they're like, yeah, but if I screw up, So do you trust until proven otherwise, or do you require trust to be proven?
I say to agents in our place, and I say to executives in some of the companies we own, what's the worst thing that could happen? If you don't try, right? And if you don't do it well, you could get fired by a client. And we've been fired by clients. You'll learn a lot from it. You won't do it again. I've never learned anything when I've been successful. I've only learned when I've failed. Only. I've only learned or gotten relationships or gone to another level when I failed. Success, you don't really get into that place where you're learning. And if we're not trying new things on either one of any of the companies, actually we're not moving the ball down the field. Everybody can. You have to try some things because otherwise, you are moving backwards, in my opinion.
And is that, you think?
I know these are cliches, but I get in fights in the company about this issue. And people think I'm nuts for doing certain things, and I've spent a lot of money.
The issue of moving and trying and...
Yeah. We're now in the middle of converting the company digitally. And we were having a conversation backstage, and I have people running divisions wanting to drag it into the company, and it's not going. And I said, that would make it not new, because you would want to make it what the old thing. And I was talking to a guy I read an article from this guy about digital in the Harvard Business Journal. I talked about this morning. And he said he's running now the online version for Harvard, for the business school. And we were talking about what we're trying to do, and I asking him his questions and getting some. And he said, there's football, and then there's fantasy football. And digital for us, fantasy football is a product off the original product. And you have to do that. And the reason that's successful is because it's not the original, and it creates a whole new asset from the asset. My people want to drag it in. I'm like, you can't do that. And you have to be able, as I said, take the emotional pain of saying no to certain people, trying something new, willing to fail, all that baggage. That is hard effing work.
And you're not afraid of no at all?
No.
Not at all?
No.
No fear?
No.
And
I actually enjoy that word.
you like hearing no?
Yeah.
And that's part of the relentlessness, right? It's like, let's find the limit.
Yeah. And let me just say something. You will get questioned. People will come at you, and this is where you have to have emotional strength and tell you why you're wrong. You have to have the conviction to say, okay, I'm willing to be wrong.
Yeah.
Because off of that, I'm going to learn a ton. That's where you actually learn, in the wrong, in the no, in all that. If you don't have that, you're not fucking learning anything.
Let's talk about the people you interact with all the time, which are celebrities and talent of various sorts. Is there a quality about that profession of being an artist that you would say is the delta between greatness and not so much?
I don't understand that question.
When you meet somebody who's
I wasn't trying to be funny though. I actually didn't. Did you understand that question?
what have you seen about, what's the pattern recognition about people that you represent that's the difference between somebody great and not? Is it a willingness for them to do any role and take risks?
Somebody's asked me the following question. First of all, I have no idea. I studied economics, computers. My parents took me to a lot of theater. I watched a lot of television. My parents thought it was going to ruin my life. And for whatever reason, when I see something now, and people always tell you, oh, here's a great script, and for whatever reason, I can tell if it's a great script, but other people can tell if it's a great script or sing something. Whether it be Larry David or Seth MacFarlane or Mark Wahlberg or Pete Berg or Michael Bay, there is a quality to them of this kind of passion, love, drive to kind of get something out and say something.
To be heard, to express.
Yeah. So, and most of my clients, are in it for all those right reasons. And
the best ones, their drive wanes at some point because of the money and the fame, or?
I don't think so. You can't tell me that Oprah Winfrey's drive has waned. She's incredible, or Tyler Perry, or Larry David, or Jim Brooks. They're in it.
The theme of today's Edison Talks is up to here, about overcoming frustration. And when thinking about talking to you, I would guess that you're frustrated a lot, and the character on Entourage is frustrated all the time. Are you?
I'm actually not that. And I'm in the enviable. I'm lucky, very, very lucky, and I'm glad that I've been in the situation, created opportunities for me to get lucky. I'm not that frustrated. I enjoy the aggravation. I do, because what else?
Do you mean? What does
listen,
that mean?
I'm trying to do something that nobody's ever done. I see, people that have created companies in my end of the world, whether it be Lou Washman, Mike Ovitz. Well, we're trying to create something that's unique, and it's aggravating. It's hard. It's a lot of lifting. And I could be doing something that I don't love.
Yeah.
So I love it. So all the aggravation, it's actually, I know it's crazy to say, I get up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, I do everything, I go to bed really late, I love it every day. It's not that aggravating to me.
So I'm friends with you and lots of people in your world, and I'm curious about your daily ritual, because I hear stories about you.
Yeah.
And what's your day like? So you wake up at 4 a.m., what do you do?
I wake up at 4 a.m., 4:30. I have a cup of coffee. I go to the gym. I work out for an hour and a half, different every time. I do 20 minutes of meditation. Actually, Amy and Rahm came out and they meditated with me for 2 days with a bunch of friends. I read the papers, make breakfast for the kids, take my son to school.
Every day?
Every day. I make a lot of, there's calls happening all the time at those times when the workout is not fun. And then I get to the office about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I have a walking treadmill. I walk, in addition to I walk about 4 miles a day, very slow pace.
While you're reading,
while I'm making calls, returning emails, doing that, have meetings, and
what
then then I have my dinner with the kids, and then I have dinners with clients. Start again.
And more calls.
Yeah.
And what time do you tap out at the end of a day?
Anywhere from 10 to 10:30, 11.
I'm going to shift gears. What are you scared of? Is there anything you're scared of?
My brother wants to die at 75, and I say to him all the time, my eldest brother, I said, thank God you're going to be dead, because I want to live a little bit longer than that. Health scares me, of course. I think AI scares me. Actually, for me, it's like one of the biggest fears, because I think we're very close to that happening. Now, there'll be the argument that you need HI, human intelligence, with artificial intelligence, but that scares me more than, and the environment, what's going on in the environment. We've just gone over the plateau of 400 in the atmosphere. I'm just, because I took the red eye and I'm blanking on that. We reached a very high level in the atmosphere of particles in the atmosphere, past the breaking point. And we can see it with the heat, and around the globe today, and all the environmental issues happening. I think it's going to get worse. And I don't think economically, politically, leadership-wise, anywhere in the world we're ready for the impact of both AI and global warming on society. And I'm not sure the leadership around the globe is really prepared for what's going to happen.
You phenomenally use your opportunity to interact with influencers to do tons of good, but pick out one thing for the good that you're most passionate about.
Well, we started a program, and one of my partners is back here, for the beginning schools, middle schools, and now we're going to take over high schools in California and around, because we have 42 offices around the globe, that we're starting a program to help these kids in the inner city. And it's an incredible program that our group has instituted. And also we have a Give Back Day where the whole company, 6,000 people, take a day off and give back. Those two programs, I think, are pretty meaningful and will be pretty meaningful.
And the search for the curious gene and the relentless curiosity, which is probably the best way I would describe you, as relentlessly curious, manifests itself in what you invited me to, which is for your entire company, you create something like this internally with the goal of what?
Well, I get to do these things, and I get to go to Charlie Rose's conference and other conferences, and it never happened at my company. And we do 2.5 days where there's really nobody talks about business. They just go into situations, and the physician beforehand came to ours. Brad's come to us. A lot of people come to us. And I just want them to think not about their business, but what's going on in the world. And all those things will impact what they do in their lives. And
these are only your
it's
employees?
only my employees on a global basis. We went from 1,000 employees to now 6,000 employees. We go up to 20,000 employees. And it's for only the employees. And it's really changed the culture of the company. I think people have been completely motivated and done their own little things. And it's for collisions to happen. So you have to meet people around the globe. You have to have different conversations. We're doing a different one this year.
It's about serendipity. It's like creating
serendipity. And it's created a culture at the company that it starts at the beginning of the year. We have it for 2.5 days. And there's a glow to the whole company. And people kind of look forward to it in a way that in the company. And it's been an incredible effect throughout there. And then we're doing now regional ones and quarterly ones, small minis.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to call an audible, if you don't mind. I know that the mayor's here, so I'm going to ask the mayor, if you would, to come on stage and put on a microphone. He's right there. But while he's getting ready, okay. I'm gonna save my lightning round questions until I'm done with this conversation with the two of you guys. See, look at that.
I just like the record to show I've never swore in public. He has 4 F words. And I'm gonna. I just emailed Mom.
It was the character speaking. It wasn't really me.
20 years ago, in 1997, every Sunday morning I read the New York Times, and I opened the New York Times and I read the magazine, and let's see, yes, I was 28 years old and I read about your family. I didn't know any of you, and I put that down.
What were you doing at the time? What company did you have?
It was called Brandon. It was 1990.
You were doing T-shirts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look at that memory.
Yeah.
Don't believe the dyslexia. You've overcome it now.
Yeah.
So I read the article and I cut it out and I saved it. And I saved it because I wanted to know what many people want to know, which is what was going on in your world that led to, now 20 years ago, one of the leading medical ethicists, period, one of the leading public servants and political leaders, and one of the leading what was going on at your dinner table? What did you guys talk about, literally?
Politics.
When you were young?
Yeah, you cannot come to the dinner table and not be prepared to be engaged, not only engaged, talk about current events, not politics in the sense of politics, but current events, what was going on in the news, and you were forced. We had
and art. You'd have to talk about what you liked, didn't like about a movie.
Let's be honest. I mean, with we all have kids, and if we say to our kids, we're going to talk about politics only.
Well, it wasn't just politics. It was your opinions about things.
Opinions.
But my dad, so listen, my dad used to get. Remember, we would go to Israel all the time, so we'd be getting news, and he's from Israel. News would be happening in Israel. We discussed it at the dinner table. My mother, often because she ran CORE here in Chicago, Congress on Racial Equality, she was gone because she was either protesting or in jail. Well, that is what happened, and so she would come back, and so you had dinner. It was about what happened in her lives, but my parents forced questions on us to debate. And
the other thing,
it's not an accident. Ari goes into wrestling and sport because that's what the dinner table was.
Intellectual wrestling or then physical.
But also,
you were challenged you had to defend yourself. We still, in this house, what movie do we not talk about?
I'm not going to talk about it because Zeke and I,
we do not talk about Deer Hunter.
I mean, because
it's a brutal sport.
It's a brutal sport. But
talk about it.
We were the only family in the summers that took trips to Europe, where we grew up, and did things that were at the time people do were different than we went to Portugal, Romania, when nobody would go to Rome. I mean, they set us out on trips that nobody would do, and my father's my mom's first generation. There was just a different period of time.
Was there?
And they shoved us into situations that you had to figure it out.
That is,
Here's
let me
what's-
say this is the most, in my view, point. And we did it on ourselves. Because, like, give you an example, remember in Portugal, we got there, it was about 4 in the morning, we woke up hungry. Ari and I. Zeke would not go out. Ari and I at 4 in the morning went out looking for food in Lisbon, 10 and 11 years old. Just walking the streets of Lisbon, we found fried chicken. We found Kentucky Fried Chicken. Oh, we got ourselves 12. That was 12 pieces. Remember? You got the 12-piece pack. And we came back to the room and that was it. We're just walking around Lisbon, 10 and 11, by ourselves.
What's fascinating
And that was what we were challenged.
You would never now do. We would take our bikes to the train in the suburbs, go down to Wrigley Field, no phones, stay there all day, get back before it's dark, and come back. You would never do that now.
There's 500 kids in the audience. What does that look like now? So if that sense of figure it out is not comfortable now, how do you figure it out? You have to. What are you telling? What does that look like today? What do you think the family today, where out of the family dinner table, or
do you do a family dinner every night?
We do, yeah.
We do a family dinner every night, and we do Shabbos dinner every Friday night, and we have the conversation. It gets harder, but we do it.
This, Brad, because like it took a while to teach the press corps here. We, as our family, every holiday, at the end of the year, we go on a vacation. I've been, Thailand, Vietnam. We take the kids around the world to see and experience and push them out there to do that. Now, they always used to, now they don't say it as much, but criticize the travel, like when I went to Cuba.
Right.
But that ability to get kids out and out of their comfort zone to then, with nothing else around, to experiment, to see other cultures, to absorb that.
And it could be far away or it could
We
be
did.
close to
We
home.
did. They did it a year before we did it. He gave me the idea. We do it every holiday too. We did Vietnam last year and Cambodia. We did a bike trip.
But our kids been to Uganda.
Yeah.
So the other thing that is consistent, talking to Zeke or the two of you guys, is not just a lack of fear of
You
failure.
talk with Zeke. He doesn't talk at you.
I tell him what I think. He tells me why I'm wrong. That's,
He doesn't ask, wait for you to say why you're
he says, go ahead and tell me what your idea is, but I'll tell you that that's going to be wrong. I'll figure out why. Failure is a motivator. Clearly, that comes through over and over when I talk to both of you. Failure is a motivator. Fear is muted as often as possible. Is it because you saw something in your parents? Was something happen at home where you said, you know what, I can get through it? Or we talked about your finger and just using adversity as an instigator for success.
You want to go?
I can't figure out, because it is actually something that I really have to, you might have the answer, or Zeke might have the answer. It definitely isn't all three of us the case. I think it's hard to teach our kids based on where we're at in life now. At least for me it has been harder. But I don't know what they did to us. I don't know what you think.
I think it's mom liking you more than she liked the rest of us. We wanted her attention. Well, first of all, I didn't think fear of failure, not fear and failure. It's the fear of failure and letting your family down. That is a big, I go always to this anecdote, on our wall in our family room was my grandmother's purse and my two great aunts and their passport. And on either side of that was pictures of relatives who never made it to America.
This is when you were growing up.
And there's nothing subtle in a Jewish home. And it was my parents' way of reminding us that we were fortunate to be in this country and we had to do something with our lives because others never got here. And that was said to you.
That was said to us.
That was a deal.
That was boom.
You said you ripped this article, but the Time Magazine just did a thing on the children of 8 families who've all collectively in their own profession succeeded. 4 of the 9 rather, are all immigrant children. And I think there is no doubt if you're an immigrant child, the appreciation of overcoming and doing something, and that you have an opportunity here and it can't be wasted. And to make.
So what do you think about immigration?
Or, yeah. And that's why, and I think, I think, you know, there's nothing like, there's nothing like a child of an immigrant. My dad is an immigrant. My grandfather, next year will be 100 years. Grandpa came on my mother's side to Chicago, 13 years old, by himself to get away from the pogroms. And there's nothing like that sense from an immigrant, a child, that you are not. And I'll give you this one story. The woman that runs buildings for us, when I was interviewing, she told me that she's a child of Holocaust survivors. And that's all I talked about in the interview. I had no interest about what she knew about the building code in Chicago. And at the end of the day, she goes, you haven't asked me a single thing about the building code. I said, I don't have to. You're not going to fail. She goes, how do you know? I said, your parents survived the Holocaust. You're never going to let them down. And Judy, in my view, has done a spectacular job in that sense of being an immigrant and your responsibility to the opportunity that's given you. You appreciate that opportunity and to do something about it.
Perhaps that's the lesson that. Perhaps that's the lesson, is our responsibility is to not let that chain of connection break. Not let your success and the hard work you've had make it somehow your kids not be connected to the story that got you to.
But for sure, the other thing is, I think that's for sure the case, what my brother said, but I kind of remembering now, mom and dad's making it a point, you have to make a difference in the world, and like drilling that into you. You know, there's a purpose for you, and you better make this place a better place in the world. And you know,
let me use that as a segue to a quick lightning round. I know we're over, but this is cool. So we're gonna your favorite book, each of you guys, favorite book?
The Lost, 6 of 6 million. It tells by Daniel Mendelsohn. It tells a story of him uncovering the story.
He didn't ask that. He just asked the fucking name of the book. I mean, stop. Mine's I just finished it.
You know why?
Just Mercy.
I'm the interviewer. I get to decide who gets to talk.
The book, Just Mercy, and it's about da-da-da-da. Go read the book.
No.
Shut up. Yeah. Next question. I'm late. Go on.
This is my mayor. Let me make it clear. It's my mayor. I won't swear, but that's my mayor. So.
Let me just say this. It's because it's longer than 200 pages, you can't read it.
Yeah. I can listen to it. Listen, here's the perfect example. He makes fun of it, I can't read it. I'll listen to it on tape. It's just as good, buddy.
That's good.
Rahm, you want to finish before I go to the next?
Actually, there's a picture that goes with it.
Okay.
What one quote, if you had to think of one quote that would be most defining?
Roosevelt
resonant?
about, you know, kind of getting up after being knocked down, and kind of
the man in the arena.
Yeah.
Oh, the Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm only saying this because I wrote it down because I just read it the other day about Winston Churchill. He was talking about a cabinet member in his own cabinet, a Laborite, and he goes, he has all the virtues I detest and none of the vices I admire.
I like that one. That's good one.
I like that. So I put it on our kitchen board.
This is only for Ari. Dodgers or Cubs?
Cubs.
What'd you say? Say it loud.
Cubs.
Okay.
Cubs.
How could I not ask that question?
Yesterday, I went to the game. I could barely move, right? And then I went to the plane to get to New York. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous for Saturday. I can't take it. I cannot take it. You know, we've never won a clinching game.
Don't we stop it?
That's so
mean,
crazy.
come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, a Jewish mentality. There it is. Just because you're not sure what that looks like, there it is. Let's start sitting Shiva right now. Yeah. Let's just get right to it. Bring food and let's talk how miserable we are.
One of both of your friends was here the other night, Brian Grazier, and I asked him, I said, the definition of success is fill in the blank. His answer was being present. Period, end of story. That was success. What's the definition of success? How do you end the sentence?
Well, this is also a quote, but I want to put it this way. Because Shimon Peres just died. I brought Leah, our youngest, for her bat mitzvah. She and I just went to Israel alone. And for her bat mitzvah, we were sitting in his office, and he said to her, you know, in this kind of, Eastern European Jewish voice. There are two books in life. One is the history book. The second is the guest book. And you must determine the way you lead your life, which book your name goes in. And I thought it was as a girl enters adulthood, that success is about leaving an imprint where your thumbprint and you've tipped the scales towards justice. And that you can look back at time. I think this is why Hamilton is so powerful.
By what?
Hamilton, the play, the musical. It's about seizing a moment, and then at the end, you can look back and you have made a difference in a positive way on other people's life, not your life. That to me is a measure of success.
Ari, the definition?
I'll go. I don't think there's just one definition. I think that's a definition. You have to be happy. You have to leave a legacy. No disrespect. I hate those type of questions because it just can't get boiled down into one thing. So it's a number of things from my perspective, but that's for sure one of them. And I think
I'll lighten it up. Your favorite band?
My
Favorite band?
I thought you said my favorite bank. I was like, wow, this is a weird conference. My favorite musical artist right now, Ryan Adams.
the Stones.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's pretty easy.
And we'll end with a question that you're not going to like. So it's obvious that money is not the driver for you and power is not the driver for you. What's the driver?
Money and power.
Let me be clear. I'll put things in. Power and money.
I cannot end better than that.
Thank you very much.
Ari, Rahm, thanks, both of you guys. Awesome, man.
Thank you.